a tropical paradise along the equatorial belt. Comprising an astounding string of 17,000 plus islands, bounded by 2 oceans, home to abundant sea life, Indonesia is the epicenter of marine biodiversity. Professional dive operators providing international standard gear and services, supported by a highly experienced dive staff. Endless underwater gems waiting to be discovered. Boasting hundreds of stunning dive sites, catering to divers of all levels. Dive breathtaking drop-offs and explore old shipwrecks and countless variety of macro life. And friendly dive resorts and liveaboards. For exciting diving in various parts of Indonesia. An underwater sanctuary for some of the most remarkable creatures. An extraordinary display of marine life amongst our renowned national marine parks. However, vast areas are yet to be explored by divers. The heart of the world's Coral Triangle Center, to over a quarter of the world's marine life. With more than 600 species of coral and over 3,000 fish species. A spectacular aquatic biosphere. Unlimited underwater adventure. Diving beyond imagination. Wonderful Indonesia.
A united journey isn't just about miles traveled, but milestones reached. That turns window seats into breathtaking views. We're sharing smiles, experiences, and connections transcend language and culture. You realize you're not traveling to get away, but to get closer to yourself. Because it is travel that helps us discover that we are all more alike than we are different. And that this journey is just beginning.
Sick.
Connecting people, uniting the world.
day, I woke up below the surface, where I learned to face my fears and go with the flow. But it's when I came to appreciate the big and the small, made new friends from all over, and could no longer hide my true colors, that I knew I'd emerged a local.
Hello, my dear friends. It's been a while since your last visit, but I want you to know I'm here. Here for you now and in better days ahead. Things may have slowed in your world, but it's anything but slow here. My reefs teem with colorful fish. Schooling hammerheads circle the deep. Playful dolphins roam the shallows. And gentle waves whisper, "Come back to me." I know you're spending hours dreaming of my underwater forest, of my soaring eagle rays, of my wise giant leatherback turtles, of my playful and friendly lions, of the stars that shine below, and the serenading humpback singing. And just as you are resetting, so am I. Everything is more vivid, more plentiful, brighter. I'll continue to surprise you more than ever before. We're always connecting, you and I. In me, you seek solace. And I promise to heal you and delight you. My creatures are calling. A new adventure is waiting. I'll see you soon.
Our island is a gift that we have shared with the world. But in the stillness of today, our island is asking everyone to give us a moment. To be with our family, Ifamagonte, our children, our grandchildren, Itanota, our land, our thoughts, to be creative. Fanhongi, to have faith. To be with the things we know and the things you've come to love. Give us a moment, and we will share one together soon.
Love the ocean, protect the ocean. Ocean positive. Swimwear made from lost or abandoned fishing nets, recycled from the sea.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Friday session of Scuba 101 8X Pixel Virtual Expo. Today with me for the 5 p.m. session, we have Andrew Marriott. Wave, Andrew. Andrew Marriott, a professional underwater photographer, to share with us a little bit on his expedition and also introduction of a place that he went in Japan, and it's called Wakayama. And he'll be sharing a little bit on his journey and his experience diving in the land of water and fire. So just a short introduction of Andrew. Andrew is a long-time diver, photographer, and writer. Originally from the USA, he found the ocean and diving almost 20 years ago while working in the world of financial derivatives. After a move to Guam, he devoted himself full-time to the ocean, helping many new divers to fall in love with the water. While working as an instructor and an enthusiastic underwater photographer, after much encouragement from his friends and students, he decided to devote himself fully to sharing and taking images and writing about diving. Andrew has numerous awards and first place finishes at major competitions for both his photography and art above and below the waves. His writing and photos have appeared in major magazines across the world, and he will be launching a couple of new series of books. So initially staying in Beijing, Andrew is now in Germany together with his wife, Dallas, and two daughters, Ellie and EJ Dewey, and his two cats. Andrew, I'll hand it over to you to talk a little bit more about Wakayama.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to start this off with an apology for everybody. This is my first Zoom hosting session here, so hopefully I don't mess this up too bad. I think I have all incriminating stuff off my screens. I think I'm good. So I much prefer doing these presentations with all of you guys on the stage in Singapore, but that's not going to happen right now. So welcome to Germany, and let's see what we can do. So my last major trip was back to Asia, was to Japan, to Wakayama. And last year I went there twice. The first time was in the winter with John Tett, and the second time was in the middle of the summer as part of a Asian Geo expedition to that same area. And we were attending what was the Fire Festival there. And that's the upcoming issue of Asian Geographic magazine, I believe. That is the feature story in that magazine. So this is a dive presentation. I am an underwater photographer. You probably can see a whole lot of camera housings back here. Welcome to the office. But this trip was interesting because I did the first trip with John in the wintertime, and it was all land. And it was an incredible trip and really striking. But as we were driving along the coast and to between destinations there, John and I were talking and just looking out at the water, and we're saying to ourselves that diving here has got to be really good, at least, if not better. But we'd never heard anything about diving in this part of Japan. Okinawa is well known, but this area, which is south of Osaka, never heard of. And sure enough, within the hour, we started passing dive shops. And the local domestic Japanese market knows of diving there. But for foreigners, there's nothing. So when this expedition came up then in July, the idea was I would go out before the expedition began and do a story and check out the diving there. And we did, and it was better than I imagined. It was quite a challenging trip, though. We'll get into that, some good sea stories there. So what I found was this is a place in Japan that is within, well, Wakayama City is within an hour. You know what? Let me bring up a map. Why don't we do that, huh? See if I can do this. My first attempt at doing this. Okay, so let's do this. And all right, where's my Zoom? I'm going to give you guys a Japan map here, I believe. So this is Japan, and Tokyo here. This is Wakayama Prefecture down here. And right here is Osaka, which is a major airport, plenty of international connections, and a ton of connections within Asia. So it's very easy to get to. You fly in here. The diving part is down here. Now let's go to another here. Here's a map of Japan. And this is Wakayama Prefecture. So you can see the airport is here and Wakayama City is here. Now, most of the diving is down here between Shirahama and Kushimoto, down in here. What's really cool is that also a lot of the really amazing land stuff is also down in the same area. So you take about a 2-hour drive south, and you can stay anywhere down here. There are plenty of great, you got big international hotels, stunning places that we had a chance to stay at in Shirahama, white sand beaches there, all the way down to little beachfront guest houses where the guy comes in and with his dog and cooks for you and everything. And that was right on the beach down here. And that was fantastic. So the diving isn't here and everything else isn't here. Now, what I found here reminds me of Bali. And that might sound kind of weird, but hold on, close this. So something that's attractive about diving in Bali is you have the good dives, but you also have these really great land excursions to do too. Dive in the morning, go check out stuff in the evening, or if you're a hardcore diver, maybe your spouse is not, then it doesn't work. But in Bali, the family can go off and explore temples, do whatever, play on the beach. You can go dive the Liberty, whatever you're doing there. So there's a lot of different things to do. And then also after your trip on your non-diving days, there's plenty of activities. I found the same thing in Wakayama. And I'm just going to go and show you couple of land shots here. These are all from the past and upcoming Asian Geo stories. And let me get this full screen for you guys. All right, and share my screen. I think I'm doing pretty well here so far. All right, so this is a winter shot. I took the drone. Luckily, being officially invited and having a very cool press pass allowed me to take a lot of pictures and do a lot of things that you normally can't do. On the next picture. There we go. So this is early morning drone shots in the winter. Now here we are down on the water. And this is the area where John and I were that we were so surprised. Like, the diving has got to be amazing. And this is a national park right down there on the water, which is pretty good. And the water clarity, the visibility was good. In the summer, it's a 5 mil wetsuit. If you don't like being cold, I was in a 3 mil because I had a little extra padding, so that was all right. This is in that area you can stay in these really nice hotels. There's some real stunning ones up on the hills. We stayed in one in the middle of the winter. There was nobody there. And John and I had each had our own infinity pool. It got a little spoiled on that one. The white sand beaches. So if you like beaches, it has these just powdery white sand beaches, way better than most of the Pacific Islands that I used to live in or love going to. So if you're a beach lover, it's fantastic. It's got all the kind of like Monterey, that area of California, really cool rock scenery. So this is the Fire Festival. This was in July. And this is where I'm going to take a pause and explain this picture, because the second trip, not only was I doing the diving part of the trip, but I was also doing a test shoot, preview, whatever, for an undisclosed camera manufacturer. The story doesn't turn out well, so I'll be nice. So for a camera company, and everything was going to be shipped to me in Japan. I initially had problems with that because I always travel with a backup. We're going to get back to that in a minute, because that's like rule one for underwater, especially underwater photography or travel. They said it will be there. Everything will meet you in Japan. I was nervous, couldn't sleep on the flight, got there, big box, all the camera stuff in it. And I'm just like, oof, great. But the problem is that when I went to put in the battery, it didn't fit. I mean, I've used a lot of cameras, and I'm pretty good with figuring out, like, I got a camera, I know where the battery goes, it goes in. And I'm sitting in my hotel room, badly jet lagged, and and I'm looking, it's like, I've got it. This camera literally came from the manufacturer. It's like, I can't, I'm doing something wrong. So I looked it up, looked at the cool label on the back of the battery, and lo and behold, that was not the correct battery. So problem one, I had this fantastic camera. It was not this one. This is my Panasonic. Had a fantastic camera, but no batteries for it, which was a little unfortunate. But being in Japan, and this is a Japanese camera company, we figured we could remedy that problem. So we were able to remedy the battery issue with an emergency delivery. Then I ran into a second problem. I built the housing that I was testing for a undisclosed underwater housing company, and it didn't fit. Again, I'm thinking I'm jet lagged, but now I'm getting a little irritated. And look it up, look at all the specs, and lo and behold, it's the wrong housing. So I had the right camera with the wrong battery and the wrong housing. So lesson one, if you are traveling and you are doing this for work and you want to do photography and videography, I was doing both professionally, bring a backup. Always have plan B. I always travel with two cameras, even if it's a GoPro. I will go with this and this at minimum, because at least at the end of the day, you can give your customer a product, and you have to be able to deliver a product. You can't be like, bad luck, sorry, can't deliver it. You shelled out a ton of money, my bad. The fun continued so I didn't have an underwater housing, so I'm supposed to do dives. So I got down, the camera had no battery, so this is my plan B, right here. And you can use your phone to do some great shots. So back to my screen here. This image was shot on my phone. You can do great work on any camera. Whenever as photographers, a lot of you guys probably are, don't you love it when you take a picture and someone looks at it and they go, wow, you must have a great camera. And you try to be nice, yeah, thanks, yeah, it's pretty good. Shot this on my phone. But really, it's a matter of know how to use your tools. Don't assume your tools can bail you out. If I went golfing against Tiger Woods and I had the best golf clubs in the world and he had rentals, he's still going to kick my ass. It's going to be a really short round. So learn to use what you've got and maximize it. So there's more to this. The story gets worse, actually, but let's continue with the pictures here. So that was shot on a, wow, whatever my phone is. It's pretty generic. Hey, come on, thing. Oh, I don't want to go that way. Go that way. All right. So these are images from the Fire Festival. I got the camera, the battery came to me, and they didn't send a charger with it. So I got the battery, but no charger. So I had enough juice in this battery that was straight from the manufacturer for about 20 pictures before it died. And then we tried to find a battery charger, and this being a new camera and using a new type of battery, none of the smaller stores had chargers that would do it. The bigger electronic stores did, but this was a Japanese national holiday and they were all closed. So have a really good sense of humor. So shots like this, these are a lot like macro photography underwater. Didn't have to worry about a light source. I got a big light source right there. What you do, shoot a really fast shutter speed because things are moving really quickly. Like a 1/300th, I think is probably what I shot this on. Keep that ISO down. And I wanted to keep my aperture as wide open or as small as you can. So this was like probably an f5, I think, on this shot. I didn't want it too tight so I would lose focus, but the camera performed really well in the 20 shots I had it on. So here's some of the shots that came out of that. And these guys would come down. So it is really hot. It is really humid. And these guys are marching up and down these stone steps. It's about maybe a kilometer long on this hill. It is insanely slippery and wet. I walked very, very carefully on this. These guys are going up and down in these little straw flip-flops. And quite impressive. These baskets here, I lifted one. They're probably 30 kilos. They are really, really heavy. So these guys are working hard, and they have each guy, there's a guy who carries it, and then a guy whose responsibility is to keep him cool, put out fires that start on his outfit, which did happen, and blow the flames down if they get too big. So these are some of the shots. As you can see, the folks in the Wakayama tourism were awesome. Thank you, Genki, if you're on this video. You rock. So we had extremely good location for the pictures. As you can see, everyone else is up here. We got to get right down into flames, which also made it really, really hot. So here's action shot here. Moved a little fast, got a little soft, but that is it's the cover of the upcoming Asian Geographic magazine. Looks pretty cool. Here you go. You can see the flames. And the whole procession is to bring these gods down from their shrine at the top of the hill to the bottom. And it's very loud. And the whole area up there, it's a pilgrimage route. So if anyone knows, in Europe, there's the Jakobsweg here in Germany. It's the pilgrimage to San Juan de Compostela in Spain. This is the sister hike. So there's the area is just full of all these trails in these hills and mountains. And there are pilgrims on them. And most people are dressed like we are, but some people do it in old school garb and sheeted. So I bumped into a couple of people doing it in the old fashioned pilgrim outfit. This is the old fashioned pilgrim outfit. And she was nice enough to play model for us. And these are the outfits. They didn't have any that fit me, so unfortunately there's no shots of me dressed up in that. I think it's pretty cute though. Let's go through these. So this is the top. This is the end of the route. This is Nachi, is the temple, and also the waterfall. It's the home of the three-legged raven. You see, it's got 3 legs. And you see this everywhere. It's also the emblem of the Japanese national football team, soccer team. And this is supposedly the place where the gods, or one of the gods, first came to Earth and became in the form of the 3-legged raven, and it became a pilgrimage route for the early emperors and has continued ever since. So it is absolutely stunning. So when I talk about Bali in here, you can start to see what I'm talking about. There's one really big difference. So this is Japan, super densely populated. You are an hour and a half from Osaka and the airport. But what don't you see in these pictures? People. Even when I went back, and this was in the winter, even when I went back in July, the crowds were, I was coming from Beijing, so it was a little off on what I was expecting for crowds, but there just weren't any. It was so quiet. And these Japanese villages, there's just no people. It was everything that you hope to find when you visit Japan, unless you're going for the modern Tokyo hectic action. Everything that a lot of people want to find. They want some connection to this spiritual, mysterious place where they're going to see things and it's going to be an otherworldly experience, something out of like the old books and the movies. Wakayama is that place. Now, I've been to Tokyo, Osaka. That's a different place. Kyoto, different place, very busy. This place is known in Japan and people do visit there, but it is just not on the tourist route in any way, shape, or form. And this is the Nachi Falls, the biggest waterfall in Japan. And here's in the winter, dry season, and the same waterfall in July. That was from December to July. And you can tell it's a lot greener and it is roaring. So when you're down at the bottom of those falls, that is going. This picture was also taken with my phone. You can do really cool things with your phones. Don't feel like you have to have the biggest camera. You don't need this to take cool pictures. You can use, you don't need this big GH5 or that. You can use your phone to take pictures. This was taken with a Panasonic GH5. This was taken with my phone. Another phone shot. These forests are incredibly old, extremely amazing, and in the summertime, really wet and really slippery. This is one of the pilgrims routes that goes up to the waterfall, and it's the most developed. There's a lot that are a lot less developed. Here's very misty, very atmospheric, and you can hear the waterfall in the distance, and you hear the gongs and the bells coming from temples, and you don't see people. It's definitely otherworldly. I mean, there are some people, but like I said, not many. This is the biggest event in Wakayama of the year, and it was still totally manageable from a visitor number perspective. As you can tell, this is the day of the fire festival. There's no people. This is what they use to put out the flames on the guys. I just thought that was cool. These are all taken with my phone. So the route in the area, the pilgrim route, is called the Kumano Kodo. It refers to a number of different trails. There's not a single one. There's longer ones, shorter ones, but you could make a full week of trekking from the remote monasteries back down to the main religious centers. The forests are great. This was not shot on my phone. This was shot in the winter with an Olympus EM1 with an 8mm fisheye lens. It's a cool effect. And these are what most of the trails look like, or they're made of dirt. And this one used a little flash on it. Useful photo tip here. Bring a flash with you. You saw I had one on that GH5. If you're in a dark situation like this, where you have a light background and a dark foreground, just throw a little flash in here, throw a little light, bring that up. Otherwise, this is so dark, you don't get the focus of the picture, or you blow out the sky, which is also distracting. Bring a flash, throw a little fill flash in there. You don't need anything fancy. I've used flashlights for this. Handheld torch works too. These are the shrines. It is still a very active shrine. These are not like museums. They were very kind to give me permission to shoot in them. I still have my armbands up here in my office. And it just, it's everything you would expect to find in a religious pilgrimage area in Japan. It was awesome. elements that you encounter here are fire and water. That's why I called the presentation Fire and Water. There's the fire, the summer fire festival, the purification rituals, but really the overwhelming element you encounter in Wakayama is water. Whether it's the oceans, these number of rather large rivers, streams, little lakes, there's always water. And what's cool is, as you can see here in the morning, a lot of this water, and there are pools that are volcanic, so they're warm. So this river in December was not freezing cold. I wouldn't want to swim in it. But right where I was standing, there were a couple of, for lack of a better term, there were hot tubs, natural hot tubs right there. And you could sit in those, and those were plenty hot. They were really, really warm. And there's nothing like getting really wet, sweaty, and exhausted hiking around, seeing amazing stuff all day, and then going back and hitting these onsen is what they're called. So it's pretty cool. A lot of wildlife. I was shocked. I mean, this is in Japan, not like way up north in Hokkaido. This is on Honshu, the main island of Japan. And the wildlife was amazing. The best thing I saw was a lot of monkeys, tons of monkeys. The people there get annoyed with them, but I thought they were really cool, and they're big. So this is one of, when I'm talking onsen, this is an onsen. This is a hot spring. You can bathe in it. It's also a public facility to get hot water. You can hard boil eggs in that thing in the lower left. So it's just a really cool spot. There's one of the monkeys. But at night, the villages and the towns, there are a couple bigger towns, but the villages are really quite small. And there's just, like I said, no people. And they feel very manageable. And even though I definitely stand out in Japan, I'm this huge dude with a beard, I didn't run into any of the small town I became the tourist attraction things that I've run into in small villages like in rural China and other places. That was kind of nice. So for all you big Western guys, that whole Waibo Ren thing doesn't apply here. This is also a lot of tuna fishing. And this is this tuna market. And every morning this tuna market goes off. Well, except the one morning when we showed up in the summer, it didn't. So this is kind of a mixed bag for you divers. This is where your sushi and sashimi comes from. This is the tuna market. We shot on a long exposure. I thought the motion was pretty cool. And there are a lot of fish. And think what you will, conservation-wise, it is an amazing sight to see. From a conservation perspective, though, I do have to say that the environment there was pristine. John and I looked around and we could not find any trash on the beach. Name me any other beach in the world that you have. Well, there may be a couple, but it's in Asia, Europe, it's good luck finding hundreds of kilometers of coastline with not a single piece of plastic to be found. That was incredibly impressive, especially given the number and volume of rivers that are flowing out of the mountains there. So this is the home of soy sauce. It's a really surreal, cool place. And this is how they make soy sauce. And I thought this was kind of a weird addition to the trip. I was kind of like, we're just wasting time. I love this place. I can still smell that smell sitting here in Germany. And when we went back again, the first thing I'm after was, are we going to go to the soy sauce place? And we did. I went back again. The old man who hung out with us and hosted us for a while, he was taking a nap, so we couldn't see him again, which was too bad. So this is what soy sauce looks like. There it is, dripping out. And firing the ovens, the ingredients. All right, this was the last night of our winter trip. This is a cemetery in this forest it's called Koyasan, up closer towards Osaka, up in the mountains. It's way up higher. This cemetery, I'm gonna be wrong on this. Wakayama people, I apologize. Tens of thousands of graves. that go back centuries or more. And it's in the daytime, the forest is very old, it's very thick, it's always very dark. And you go in there and it's silent. And it is an otherworldly place. And the first thing that John and I thought when we got there is we've got to go back at night. So we went back when it got dark, and it was, you have to go to experience it. One of the coolest experiences I've had doing travel, writing, photography, whatever it may be. This was kind of the cherry on the top of Wakayama. And there's just so much there. But the one thing that you're going to see there that will really blow your mind, even more than the cemetery maybe, is soy sauce ice cream. They make ice cream out of soy sauce. And I ate it. There you go. The soy sauce ice cream, just to prove that I did it. All right. So back to looking at me again. Let me close this down. So that's on the land. And you guys are going, you know what? This is 8X. This is a dive show. Dude, where's the diving? So here's the diving. It was a challenge because when I got there, I didn't have any underwater stuff. I didn't even bring my gear because I had too much other stuff for the land. I am almost 2 meters tall. I weigh a little over 100 kilos. I'm a huge guy. I had to try to find a wetsuit that fit in Japan. All I ended up with was like a 2-3 mil. And the water was about 20-ish, 21. So the water's a little chilly. You're going to want that 5 mil. But the diving is really good. All right, let me go to the diving. So to do the diving shots, we showed up and I told them, it's like, we can skip this. If you guys don't want to, we can just not do the diving and I'm so sorry, but this has just been a disaster. They were super cool about it. And the guy there luckily had an Olympus TG4 in the little Olympus housing. So what you're seeing, these videos were basically shot on something like this. This is not the TG4, this is an EPL, but you get the idea. So these were shot with the TG. This was my setup for these shots was this and this. Okay. You can improvise and still take good shots. We jury rigged up a strobe that occasionally worked. It's the Olympus strobe that comes with it. There was definitely some stuff lost in translation. I am an Olympus shooter, but something didn't work there. So what you're seeing are me having fun with a TG4 in Japan. So here we go. There are a ton of fish. The visibility was shockingly good, considering you were diving on the channel that leads out of the inland sea, which is the busiest waterway, one of the busiest in the world. It's like off Singapore, this without the oil tankers. There were, come on, stupid thing. No, don't do that. Just go next, please. So on these kind of shots, what I was doing, I knew the camera that I had. The tools that I had were basically a simple camera and very basic lighting setups. So I was going for very easy shots. The one thing that I could consistently do to make the shots better was constantly have my light source away from wherever the rock or the bottom was. In this case, my light's off to my left. Don't just set your light and leave it there and then not move it on the entire dive. For instance, my light is always on the right side of my housing, or I actually have 2 strobes, but if I only have one, it's going to be on the right side. And that's because I'm right-handed and I like to be able to manipulate the controls manually. So if you get used to that, if I had done that in this shot, the light would be hammering all this rock here and you would get a really kind of ugly shot. So keep your light away from it. What I do if I have 2 strobes and a proper setup is I'll make an L. I'll have one light above, up here, sticking up on an arm, and another light sticking out this way to the left. maybe slightly down underneath it to kind of eliminate some of the bottom shadows. This one I usually have angled pointing a little bit this way away from the wall. My idea is I'm trying not to light up all this stuff. All right, so that just, you want to keep the focus on your subject. You don't want the focus to be on rocks. They're not attractive. So same thing here. This was just, you can see, pretty pleased with how it turned out. Just had my light right over here on the left. The diving was big rocks, huge rock formations. Really, really incredible. Kind of like Okinawa, you would see those kind of known for those big rock formations. Even this far north, it is still a tropical coral reef, the very end of them. So you have this really cool mix of all the stuff you see down in the Philippines versus all this weird stuff from the north that you never see. So the mix of marine life was really, really fun. So, I mean, a lot of familiar customers here. Some great soft corals. The soft corals here were not the best in the world, but there was plenty. A couple of dives had some very impressive walls covered with soft corals. Good colors, all different. You can see you got pink, orange, yellow. Here's yellow, pink. So again, you can see I'm keeping that light over to my right-hand side. Great soft corals. Got the fusiliers, got the anthias, which gives it that tropical reef feel. But then you get some other weird fish that are not usual suspects. So you get the anthias and then some cold water fish. The eels up there are some of your snowflakes and your regular ones. And then we saw some really weird, like northern Japan type eels. I don't know if I got a shot of those. Here's one, it was free swimming. That was pretty cool. Getting clean. So it was hovering in the water. It wasn't actually going anywhere. It was hovering like this with its dorsal fin fully extended and then getting cleaned by the little cleaner rats here. So that was a cool moment, and it was pretty chill with me. Nudies. So for macro photographers, found a ton of stuff. I had no capacity. The TG4's got a great microscope mode. I don't know how to use it. I didn't have time to figure it out. So didn't shoot a ton of macro, but I did look in some of my favorite spots, and a lot of the usual suspects were there. The gobies, the little shrimp, all kinds of stuff. So you can see this, the terrain on the bottom combined with the colors is a really cool contrast and makes really easy shots. These were all shot on one dive. So this is just one location. A nice mix of fish, a lot of goatfish there. It's interesting to see the soft coral on these kind of barren rocks. In some areas it's quite dense. And you have very tame goatfish. So, my guide, goatfish, eel. All right, so those are the stills. Due to technical problems when we were there, I didn't get the vol. I usually shoot 150 shots per dive. I shot like 50 total on this trip due to camera issues. But I did manage to pull off some video. I'm trying to do more video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a little quick 2-minute video that has some of the dive videos. Don't judge me too harshly. Again, this was shot on pretty difficult thing. All right, let's try this. And let's bring this up. All right, I think that's going to work. So that was the quickie video. I think that worked. And the things that you can draw from that, seeing it that you don't see in the stills. I only did one dive with stills because I wanted to get the video. Like I said at the beginning, you have to deliver a product, figure it out. So we did the video dives. The big fish were awesome. The different bass and what else we have? Jacks, bass, a lot of like barracudas. There were so many big fish, and you think this is right off the shore of the main island of Japan. Those dives were 2 hours from the Osaka airport on a major waterway. So that's pretty awesome. And something I was told was there are some seamounts off there that if you go out, there are hammerheads and other big schooling sharks. Didn't have the time, but next time I'm definitely going to go hit those seamounts. And the visibility, good. Particles in the water because there's a lot of runoff, but it wasn't milky, wasn't cloudy. Water was blue, wasn't green. And it was so many things that were so surprising to see from somewhere that's so heavily trafficked by boats and stuff. So the diving there is almost as good as the stuff on land. You could easily go to Wakayama for 2 weeks and feel like in 2 weeks you could do a pretty good job there. But if you wanted to do a bunch of dives, a bunch of land stuff, you can do them both in the same day. Go do a couple dives in the morning, go grab some really amazing Japanese food lunch, and then go hit a temple in the evening or a waterfall or hike part of a trail or see the soy sauce factory, paper. Or you can go river rafting. If you go in the summer, you can go river rafting on bamboo river rafts that you stand up. It is the craziest thing. It is whitewater, not severe, but it's going. Whitewater river rafting on bamboo rafts that you stand up on. And they're like 30 meters long. That was awesome. It was wild. I'm trying to convince, Genki Wakayama guys, bring me back so we can go do that shoot in the river. That would be awesome. Yeah. Shameless plug. All right, that's done. So the other thing, I wanted to hit the accessibility. That's key. It's really easy to get around. If you're used to driving on the left-hand side, you can get a car and rent it and be fine. I do not trust myself to drive on the left-hand side because every time I turn the turn signal on, the windshield wipers start going. So I'm not capable of doing that. But there's plenty of trains, buses. The train service goes down to most of the major towns. Easy to get to the airport. And like last year I was there for a couple of weeks, and I still feel like I don't know the place very well. And you can look it up on their website. So I have another video of land. I'll put it up on YouTube, and maybe we'll have the 8X folks share it out. The audio I had problems with on Zoom, so I have no audio here. But lucky for you guys, I'm going to personally narrate this video for you. Yeah, that's a bonus. So let me find this thing. All right, let's share that screen, shall we? Getting good. Getting this down. Okay, I'm not going to shoot computer sound. All right. Let's see, I hope everyone can still hear me because I don't want the computer sound to be on. So here is the video. This is me driving around. I'm not driving, this is Genki driving around. This was this tunnel full of fog. It was bizarre. It was awesome. I like to do time lapse. That's one of the coolest things you can do with video. And you can do time lapse on a GoPro, a phone, just about anything anymore. I do travel with a drone when I can. Be very mindful and respectful of the rules around using them. Also the rules around shooting in temples. Make sure you have the proper permissions and you follow the proper drone laws. I think I mostly followed those. I think I was good. So this has a very cool soundtrack that won't play on here. But like I said, the temples are fully functional. They're still going. There are people coming in them to pray. These are not things that have been recreated as tourist stops. They're very active, and they're very much a part of people's everyday life, which is really cool. So this temple here looks like I'm in the middle of the mountains, which it is, in the middle of, anywhere. This is actually, everything is still very close to the ocean. 20, 30 minutes from there, you're on a beach. So it's a small area once you get down into the south part of Wakayama. And this is the onsen. There are hot springs everywhere. And here we are making some eggs. So you put these eggs in and you hard boil them. And you can see we're not the only people doing that. John's on his phone. And the smell, of course, has that kind of sulfur smell going, which is actually I liked because it got into the eggs. And so the eggs had a rotten egg taste. How about that, right? That sounds wrong. That's just a little salty, but it was good. This is what the paths look like in some places, the less traveled ones. They are small. You got to pay attention, but the results when you get to the temples are awesome. And it rains there. Be ready for it. It rains a lot, even in the summer. This was in the winter. It's very cool. There's too bad the sound didn't work. The gonging of this bell. I just happened to be there. I was shooting that other shot, and then I heard this guy over there sort of pounding on this bell, and it was really, really awesome. And we were really, really hoping it wasn't going to snow that night. This is a couple hundred. This is probably 600 meters, something like that in altitude. Most of the trails though look like this. The main sections between the primary temples. This stuff has been used for that's 800-year-old trees, and you're literally treading where the emperors would have walked. These were the pilgrims, and the camera. This is my GH5 on a lot of these shots here in the winter. I'm using a gimbal setup to keep it still, which is really, really useful. So I definitely would recommend that. And now we're to the fire festival. It's the summer. And don't let the long sleeves on the guys fool you. They're only wearing long sleeves and pants so they don't burn themselves. It's hot. The air's hot. It's humid. If on the right-hand side of the screen, up in the upper right, you can see the waterfall pounding. So you have these guys are all chanting and yelling. The flames are roaring. That waterfall is pounding in the background. It is a feast for the senses. With the video, when it gets up with sound, check it out if you want to hear it. It's pretty awesome. But you can see the guys spitting the water on the flames, dousing guys, cooling them off. They have to get the flames down. But the whole purpose is to move these portable shrines with the deities on them down to the waterfall to be purified and to be renewed. So these are the portable shrines. This is all shot on a combination of GoPro and my phone, and waving at the crowd. Those things are really heavy, and it is quite challenging. I need to resize that shot. You can see at the end, the ceremony is over. You definitely want to be in halfway decent shape when you go there. There is a lot of hiking and climbing. Even the diving there's not really currents, but you know how it is. You work. It's not like macro where you're just sitting on the sand. You're moving around. And this is some of the smaller trails. It's always good to have giant rocks when you're a really tall guy. And the mist is cool. Be ready to shoot time lapse at any moment, or do it while you're driving the car because you're bored. A lot of tunnels. When you drive there, it's a lot of tunnels. This is this temple I can't remember the name off the top of my head. This is it in the winter. As you can see, there's like 2 people here. It's very nice. In the summer, this is during the summer. This is a major temple festival. This is their main event of the year. this is how busy it is during basically their main event. Plenty of kids. Doesn't matter where you go. Kids are all the same. And then there's the carnival. And the carnival, that looks like a lot of people if you're used to Europe or North America. By Asian standards, that crowd is nothing. So those of you watching this in Japan or wherever it may be, you may laugh and say there's no people in that video. And those people watching in Germany may say, oh my God, there's so many people. There's not that many. They're all extremely friendly. I speak horrible Japanese. I understand some, a little bit, kind of, now. Still had no problem, well, thanks to Genki translating everything. But you could get around without speaking Japanese. There's enough signs in English, and by pointing, you're good to go. This is the town, Katsura, where they do the tuna market. So this is the tuna market in video. And it's an auction. And like I said, whatever your feelings on it may be, it is an incredible spectacle. And the sashimi there that they serve right up the back is definitely worth the trip if you like sushi. Even for breakfast. I had a lot of sushi for breakfast while I was there, which I really can't complain. I miss sushi. Sushi on the German-French Luxembourg border is not real good. So, if you like the food's great. Here's again the drone shots. This is the national park. The water is out in the background is where the diving is. But you can see it's a busy shipping area, and also extremely protected. There's not much. This is a commercial port. Look how clean the water is and around the shore. I mean, there are literally container ships on the other side of this bay going up and down, up and down. This is, I can't remember the name of the town off the top of my head, where they make the soy sauce. Like I said, it sounds kind of weird, but I highly recommend checking it out. And you can meet some really cool old guys who've been doing this forever. And there's the soy sauce getting pressed. And here we go, soy sauce ice cream, 350 yen. And it is surprisingly good. They encourage you to put more soy sauce on the top. And this is in Wakayama City, which is the biggest city in the area. This is up close to Osaka. So this is the busiest area you'll encounter. And this is definitely the most developed for tourism. Once you go south into the mountains and into the diving areas, you don't find the tourist, kind of like the mass tourism stuff. There is tourist infrastructure, but not like huge hordes of people in mass tourism. So a lot of really good food. There's your sashimi for breakfast. Can't go wrong with that. So that's the video. Go back to me. I'm going to see, there's something in chat here. A couple things in chat. Let me see what's in chat, I guess. Okay. So that's basically the presentation on Wakayama. I wish I could show more of the diving, but severe technical issues intervened, but it delivered a lesson of always have a backup, always be prepared, always think, what is my plan B? Even if it's a GoPro or your phone. If you were doing something and it's either a trip of a lifetime or you're doing this for work and you want to do this professionally, you have to be able to deliver a product. And everyone else even if you're doing this as a hobby, underwater photographers, you don't want to go on an amazing trip and not have a camera. Like, I can't dive without a camera. I feel naked. It's not a comfortable feeling if my hands are nothing on my hands. So have a backup. You don't need this. You can use, sometimes I'll travel with this as a backup, the old EPL3. Same lenses, but much, much smaller. Travel with two, be ready to figure it out, and keep shooting. Check out the video. I'll get that up on YouTube and we'll try to distribute that somehow from the 8XN. We'll see. So on the YouTube, it's on Fata Morgana Media. I'll put it up on that site, I believe, if I can find my login. And that's that. So I wish I was doing this in person. Wish we could all go out for dinner and drinks now afterwards, like tradition, but not this year. So hopefully see all you guys sooner rather than later in person, and we can stop this Zoom stuff and get back to being in the water. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Andrew, for your time. We do have a couple of questions here.
Sure.
Okay. So one of the question is, Andrew, you've been to Wakayama twice, and looking at all the images and the videos that you have shared, it's really looking very magical, I must say. Was the impact in the first trip and the second trip equally the same, or it get even better?
It got better. The diving was added on to the second trip, but due to what we saw on the first trip that we wanted to experiment with that, the rest of the second trip was almost, except for the fire festival, was almost identical in itinerary to the first one. And I had a blast. I mean, I literally, within 5 months or 6 months, I was doing the exact same trip in the exact same places, seeing the exact same stuff, and it was still amazing. And there's still so much more. But as part of that second trip was an expedition. We were following the itinerary that we had set up the first time, so there was not a lot of room to get out and explore. But we did before that trip around the diving, and that kind of previewed and showed to me there's still so much more there. If you told me I had a flight there tomorrow, great, I would be thrilled.
Another question: if you can give 3 recommendations to anybody who wants to go to Wakayama Prefecture, aside for the soya sauce ice cream, which you highly recommend, what are the 3?
Diving, if you're a diver. So that's kind of a one or not. There's plenty of diving. I would definitely hike one of these segments of the Kumano Kodo. Depending on your fitness level, there's an option for everybody. I would combine that. I would make sure you stay in places that are, I really enjoyed the Japanese style places. It's different. That tatami mat smell, it's just something that is very Japanese. I mean, I like my big bed, right? But I really enjoyed that. And that cemetery in Koyasan on your last night, because it's close to the airport, relatively. Koyasan and that cemetery at night is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So there's my 3. And diving.
All right, hold on. When you say the last site, the cemetery, you say it was unbelievable. In what aspect?
Yeah. I wish I could describe it. You would think a ancient forest full of ancient tombs with no people around, and it's very misty and kind of foggy. You would think that sounds like something out of a horror movie. But what is so unreal is about in the cemeteries, it is so peaceful. There's none of that like, ooh, kind of a creepy thing at all. I would go off. I'm very, very bad at following guides. Genki, if he's still on here, can attest to that. I tend to disappear to get my shots, and then I reappear. But I would be out in the cemetery, following the rules, and by myself in the middle of this forest cemetery, and be totally at peace. And then you get deeper into it. Things get older and older and older, and then suddenly there's a bridge. And I have to put my camera. There's no video or cameras because there's absolutely forbidden. But you go over this bridge, and it's where a monk, like 800 years ago, went to meditate in a cave. And the legend is he is still in there meditating, and it's sealed off. And there's a big shrine outside, and the shrine is surrounded above by lanterns. So you're in this dark forest with all these old tombs, with this shrine that is lit up by like hundreds and hundreds of lanterns around it. And just everyone I've talked to who did the the expedition or who's been there. That moment where you're there is so incredible, and for a photographer and a videographer is so infuriating, because the images you could shoot there would be cover shots like that. It would require no work. Some of the best photography I've ever seen, but you can't shoot it. But it's worth experiencing.
Thanks, Andrew, for the sharing and those beautiful images, diving, and also travel culture experiences on Wakayama Prefecture. It's I must say, it's just magical and enchanting. So thank you for your time and being a part of ADEX Pixel Expo today. And we look forward to catching up with you again. And thank you.
Great. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Speak soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.